Welcome back to the Thank You Adversity podcast. I'm your host, Tony Tofrey, and today I'm honored to welcome Trent Brock to the podcast. Trent is a 3-time cancer survivor who has also had to endure 2 pulmonary embolisms, 13 major surgeries, over 10 minor procedures, and 3 hospital contracted infections. He is also a co-author of a best-selling book titled Breaking Through the Silence, Voices of a Survivor. Despite of being given less than a 5% chance to survive pancreatic cancer and only a year to live, Trent has overcome incredible odds. Please join me in welcoming the inspiring Trent Brock.
Whoa, what an intro, man. Holy, what are we going to talk about?
I did some research on you, man. I am like you
did.
are
Woo.
in such an inspiration. When I first read your profile, I have a background in neurological rehabilitation, and I was honored to work with a lot of people who endured spinal cord injuries, spina bifida, stroke, a lot of life changes, right? A lot of life changes. But reading your story and what you had to go through, what you had to endure, and your attitude, your outlook on life, and I know it's I always say in my podcast, I think it's something that we are born with, but also those experiences through childhood that leads us up to having that sense of resilience and strength to look at the glass half full versus half empty in life, no matter what happens. But you have just amazed me just listening to your talks.
Cool.
And I was like, I really need to get Trent on. So,
Man, God,
thank you.
I'm humbled. I'm extremely humbled, and I love coming on shows, and I really appreciate having the opportunity to come on and speak to a group that I haven't, and it's all about like helping somebody on that day that they needed it. Because you know what, I had people like that come into my life throughout this, throughout my cancer journey and everything. So I'm just kind of a pay it forward kind of guy, and everything that's happened to me, I've just realized life is worth more than, 20 years ago, success was money and a house and a nice car and, all these, nice vacations, everything. And, I got caught up in that and thinking about that and working towards that. And man, you know what? Life is about enjoying it, not taking things for granted, the relationships you have, and influencing people, just helping somebody have a better day, man.
Exactly.
And if not, a better life, right?
Yes.
Man, I got so much that's happened, and I just can share. Somebody can take a little something away. That's what it's all about. My thing at the end of the day, it's like, I'm having a rough day or I'm having it bad. It's like, man, I never had it bad as that guy, and that guy's still rolling.
Yeah. Exactly.
So I don't want to, you want to cuss, complain and cry. You got 5 minutes to do that.
Yeah.
But then we're going to get back to work.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
And that's cool. And that's cool. And hey, I do the same thing, man. Like I got a good attitude, I'd say. Honestly, probably about 85% of the time. 85, 90% of the time. Man, I have a bad day sometimes. I get pissed off. I get angry. I still, I don't, dude, I am who I am. I don't sugarcoat nothing. You get the real here. And, man, sometimes I get pissed off, man. I go ride around in the car and yell and scream because I'm pissed off because I'm still handicapped, right?
Exactly.
I mean, hey, at least I still got my leg though, right?
Exactly.
So then I come back around to, man, where would I be if I didn't have my leg? I'd be angrier. I would have resentment.
Right?
I wouldn't ever have gotten over it.
Exactly.
So I'm all over the place. So hey, man, whatever.
No, thank you. I love it. Well, let's just start off from the beginning. Tell me about growing up in childhood and then your journey to Australia.
Yeah, it was New Zealand.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
New Zealand.
Yeah. It's almost all the same down there.
Yeah, your journey to New Zealand. Yes.
Well, so hey, man, I Southern guy, grew up in Shreveport, Louisiana. Small, mid-sized city in the South, very typical. We had the normal things of life, that every kid does, and I just grew in a middle class family. I went to private school growing up, and then I went to public high school, and I was a basketball player and a football player.
Nice.
Well, not in high school. Football, basketball, baseball. And then in high school, I just concentrated on basketball. I was too little, and I love I love football and I love knocking the crap out
Yeah,
of somebody or
yeah.
something, right?
Uh-huh.
I was too little, man. I was gonna get
Yep,
hurt. I knew I was
yep.
gonna get hurt. I was gonna get hurt. So I played on the basketball team with
There
all
you
the
go.
guys that were 6'5",
That's
and I
super
was
tall.
5'6", right?
Yeah, hey, same here. I'm 5'7", and so I'm like, I was basketball guy too. So yep,
You know
nice.
what, man? My job was to make the big guys have easy shots and they look good. And so we all got along well. I knew my role. Bring the ball up the floor and give it to them and let them be the
Yep, and let
superstar,
them
baby.
do it. There you
Hey,
go.
man, it's teamwork.
Yep,
That's what
yep,
teamwork's about, you know?
exactly. Nice,
So
nice, man.
yeah. So very normal thing. I graduated from college. Went to the same school that my folks went to, that
Okay,
my folks met at, my grandparents met at, my aunt and uncle met at.
nice.
My brother and two of my cousins were in college with me at the same time in the same fraternity, and I made it all kind of work that way. My grandparents lived in the town that was the college town that my mother grew up in, and I wanted to go and be around my family,
Hmm.
for college. I want to go do my, go do my thing. But hey, man, well, once or twice a week, go to my grandparents' house, get the meal, get my laundry done, go out to eat and get to spend some time with my grandparents, man. My
Yeah,
grandpa was one of my best friends ever in the whole world. Never judged, never
nice.
anything. He was
Yeah.
my buddy, man. He was my buddy. And, he's not with us any longer, but man, a lot
Okay.
of people say, when I knew your grandpa, man, the only difference between you and him was 50 years. And I'm like,
Really.
yeah,
Wow.
so, I like
That's
that. I
awesome.
appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
Nice.
yeah, so let me get you to New Zealand. So graduated from college and I graduated with an MBA and an IT degree.
Okay.
Wanted to travel, wanted to make good money and travel, wanted to go and see, my idea was that they would pay for my travel and I would get to go and see the big cities and all the places and all the stuff, right? That's what I wanted to do. So I did that. I did that for 4 or 5 years around the States. I worked for a big management IT company called Anderson Consulting at the time, and now it's Accenture. And so they're in that whole realm. And it was great and it was awesome. And I got kind of burned out. I'm a hard worker, man. I was working 100-hour weeks I
Hmm.
was on lots of tough projects and things, and all good. So I took some time off and I went to Spain for a year and I did Europe, and then I had the international bug. So I was like, I'm broke. I was a I was a like a English teacher, tutor kind of thing in Spain.
Okay.
Super cool. Did it for the experience, not the money.
Yeah.
But I was broke, basically broke, right? So I got
Yeah.
back into IT and I wanted to go, worldwide.
Yeah.
Ended up in New Zealand. Wanted to get to Australia. Too tough to get a visa. They're hard, man. They're tough down there.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah, man. I mean, you can go visit and do that. Like, I had to get sponsored and get a job and the whole
Yeah.
thing, or get
Yeah.
transferred. It's just too much crap. But hey, man, you can get into New Zealand easy with a visitor visa for a year. And I was like, I know I can get a job and I'll backdoor into Australia some way, somehow, right?
Yeah. There you go.
In the end, it ended up being better. New Zealand is way more my speed. The people are more my speed. The
Mm.
country's more my thing than Australia. I've worked in Australia. I visited there. I did that thing. New
Okay.
Zealand, just a little more my game. So, in the
Hmm.
long run, God or the universe or whatever you want to call it, it just kind of
Yeah.
knew probably New Zealand was better for you. So that's how I
Okay.
ended up there. That's how I ended up
Nice.
there. Yeah.
Nice. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. Being in New Zealand, you took up a popcorn business, correct? Is that
Yeah.
kind of how that started?
Yeah, man. I don't do anything like normal. If it's kind of outside the realm of normalcy, it's kind of my game.
Yeah.
And so I'm working IT and I meet some American guys come into the boxing gym. Now, there were no Americans in New Zealand at the time.
Okay.
I'd been there, I don't know, 5 or 6 years. I had met like two other ones. We weren't there. They
Okay.
didn't know the secret of how awesome the country was and
Yeah.
hadn't kind of all
Yeah.
come down there yet,
Wasn't out there
right?
yet. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Kind of snowbird down there and do that thing and all that. So these guys were cool, man. I just trained in the boxing gym. I never had a match or anything. I just like training. I don't get hit in the face. Like, I don't want to, tear my face up. And
Hmm.
so I'm training with these guys and they're cool and they're tough. One of them got to be heavyweight number 5 in the world. So these guys were
Wow.
something, okay?
Yeah. Yeah.
And their manager, entrepreneurial guy, was there with them. They were there several weeks. They were there like 6 weeks training, right? Training
Hmm.
to get ready for these fights, going to have their fights and go home.
Yeah.
Well, this manager, he did the boxing thing, but he also had a kettle corn business in their home state of Washington. So, in the spring and the summer, go out to the markets, go out to the local thing and make some cash on the weekends, right? So we kind of started talking about it, and we looked around, and hey, man, they didn't have any kettle corn at the local markets. They didn't have any in the supermarket. And, I just knew that I knew, and I had that thing. I was like, everybody loves kettle corn. This whole country doesn't know it, and I'm going to bring it.
Nice.
So that's what we did, man.
And that's
what we did.
Awesome. Wow.
So
that's awesome.
Grew to this weekend business, right? We started out, I'm like getting my buddy to come out with me on the weekend and like taking him for pizza and beer afterwards to pay him, and that kind of thing. But this thing blew up, right? We just started out doing the local markets and the night markets. Then we got stadium contracts, and we're doing birthdays and weddings and galas. And we were, all over, man. I was on the news, we were in with major nonprofit groups, and just, it was crazy, man. So we grew to the number 2 popcorn in the country in like 4 or 5 years, right?
Wow, yeah.
And they had this other huge company that had been there since the mid 80s. And if anybody ever came in, they either like just stomped them out or they bought them out, right?
Yeah.
Well, we were the only ones that had ever come in that had given them some competition. And, that was good and that was great and things were going good. So the guy on the top, man, he has nowhere to go but this way. Yeah. So we're always just
climbing up, and
life is good, working hard, got goals. The popcorn, we saturated all of New Zealand with all the supermarkets, and then we went international, and we were in Singapore and Malaysia, and and expanded into Hong Kong and all over that area, the Asia Pacific, doing my thing, right? And I start limping around the factory in the spring of 2019. And I go to several doctors, man. And, they just go, we think you've torn a butt muscle, like bending over. I lead from the front. I teach my guys how to do things. I'm not like, hey, you guys go over there and move that pallet stuff. I'll go in the office and, sit on my ass and do nothing. I'm like, I'm doing it with you. We're all going to move that pallet of corn today, right? Or whatever. So, that's just how I roll. And so I thought it made sense. Well, it just kept getting worse and just kept getting worse. And, like in New Zealand, man, they have they have an opioid epidemic. They have a they have a meth epidemic there. So they are super controlled. Like they don't give you any narcotics unless you were in the hospital. Once you get out, you don't get anything but like paracetamol. You get like aspirin, right? Okay. They'll give you thousands of those. But dude, so I have to go into the hospital for some blood work and totally unrelated. And I'm just kind of on a very familiar kind of relationship with the hematologist, oncologist. And she's like, something is wrong with your leg and it's not a torn butt muscle. I'm like, whatever. I've had I've been to 3 doctors. You don't know what you're talking about. I don't have time. I got to go back to work. Please get an x-ray for me today. Okay, whatever. Okay, fine.
Yeah.
Get an x-ray. A week later, I get this call, and it's the call that changed your life. And if you get the big C call, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And that was that you have aggressive, expanded hip cancer. It is eaten up all of your hip area. You have a 1/4 inch of bone holding your leg on. We cannot believe you haven't broken your leg yet. If you break your leg, the leg's coming off. We can't save it. We can't do anything. Get to the hospital right now. You're going in. We need to figure out what we're doing with you. How are you getting to the hospital? When you get here, do not walk through the parking lot. Call them and tell them to get a wheelchair to come get you. Do not walk anymore.
Wow.
This is my intro.
Gosh.
This is my intro.
And you're like, whoa, wait, what? Oh my gosh.
So I screwed myself right from the start. And let me tell you how I did that. So my brother's best friend and a good friend of mine, a fraternity brother, my aunt and uncle's godson, at the age of 38, passed away from cancer, left his wife and kids about 6 months before I got diagnosed. So what am I thinking? Immediately, I'm going to die of cancer, just like my brother's friend. This is over. I had a meltdown right then, right?
Yeah, my gosh.
So I already had screwed myself. It took me 2 years to get over that. It took me 2 years to get myself, like my head game. The head game started and I didn't even know.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's strong and it's hard. And I can't imagine at that point, of being healthy and having the popcorn business just booming and then getting that call, you're thinking it's just a pulled muscle to completely blindsiding you with
Yeah.
huge catastrophic news. I mean, oh my gosh. At that time, like, so what did you do for like mental stability, like trying to get through that, hearing that news? What did you do?
Well, I'll tell you what, man. I'm just kind of what we call hard-headed in the South.
Yeah.
I'm just kind of, I never give up. I mean, I was a hustler. I was the biggest hustler on the team. I wasn't that talented, but I made it up because I never gave up. And I just tried to hump through it like that, right?
Yeah.
My parents got heavily involved, I got good folks. I got
Okay.
good family. They
Good.
got heavily involved. I leaned on them for a lot of it.
Good.
And I really just tried to get through it. And this call started this this downward spiral that just got worse and worse and worse. I mean, you would not believe. And so, it's public health care and it's slow. Okay. The service is free, but somehow you pay. And most of the time you pay with average care, average service, or you even pay with your life. Public health care is not the way. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
There's no consequences. They don't care. They don't care if they get to you or not. They don't care. I had a surgery that was not supposed to happen, that was an accident, it was a misdiagnosis, and they didn't care. It's no consequences. So it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable, man.
My goodness.
So I go through this series of 6 months, right?
Yeah.
Every 2 months, we're going to make an implant. We're creating an implant. We're going to cut the cancer out, put the implant in, and get on down the road. Okay. So you got to imagine this is getting worse. Okay. This cancer is eating me alive.
Yeah.
Okay. It's getting worse. I mean, in the States, they'd have done the surgery like within 2 or 3 days.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, they can't make the implant because they got to go off and they got to get the people, all the excuses of whatever. And you know what, man, I don't give a damn about excuses because excuses are like, what.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And everyone's got one and it stinks, And so third time, they're like, it's gone too far. We're going to have to just cut your leg off. And I'm like, I've done everything you've asked. I had probably another meltdown, and my dad got involved. My folks were, at that point in time, I was having my folks on my calls with me. They were my support person.
Okay.
They were my support people. In New Zealand, they do a good job with saying, bring your support person with you. Bring someone that can help you. In the States, they don't push that as much, and they do there, and it's a good thing, right?
It is.
So I black out like when I get this news. You sit there, you have an appointment with the doctor, you're talking about life and death or losing a limb. You're there, you're coherent, you have a conversation, and then after you don't remember anything.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I better get my folks on the line. So my dad, they had been on the phone with me for a couple of months,
Okay.
They were on the phone. My dad said, you're not cutting Trent's leg off. You're not doing that.
Yeah.
You promised us that you were going to fix this. We've been patiently waiting on you. If you don't do that, I'm putting him on a plane tomorrow. He's coming back to the States. You wasted our time. You've made this worse. Trent is a fighter. He's not a quitter. You better give him a chance with this leg. He can do things no one else in the world can do. If you cut his leg off, he'll never have a chance. And hey, he can't grow a leg back. If it doesn't work, cut it off later, but don't do it to this kid. Don't cut his leg off now. Doctor's like, fine. I can't guarantee anything. I can't guarantee feeling, functionality. I won't take any responsibility for it. We're going to cut the leg off, okay, to get to the cancer. We're going to sew it back on, and whatever happens, happens. It's going to be shorter than the other. My recommendation is to cut it off. It's going to be a tougher life. He's not going to enjoy it. It's going to be like a peg leg, and the leg's going to be a floating hip. It's going to be painful. It's going to be miserable. My dad said, leave the leg. We don't care. Leave the leg.
Just leave it. Yeah.
So we left the leg. Surgery was successful, but got infected. Chronic infection. I was laid up in the hospital, okay? Not from necessarily infection, but for the surgery. I mean, seriously, they cut me. They split me in half from my belly button to my spine, okay? And halfway down my leg. And you should see some of the photos from like the surgery. Literally, my leg is laying there, okay? And the only thing attached are like the nerves and the blood vessels. Okay.
Gosh, yeah.
It's unbelievable, man. You couldn't even, you wouldn't believe it.
Yeah.
Okay. So we do that. We get through all that. And the leg's still infected. Finally, 4 months in the hospital. My folks are there every single day. day in and day out, every morning at like 8 o'clock, till every night at 8 o'clock. And I wouldn't have got through it without them there, right?
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Unbelievable, man.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
One of the things that I always try to highlight is for people is having uh, a strong support system,
Yep.
in place. And I was just going to ask you quick
Sure.
from
Yeah.
that, your father coming in and saying, no, we're not amputating. We
Yep.
are not going to do that,
Yep.
Do you think you were in the right mental space? Like, say your father wasn't there to say, no, I don't want to do that.
No.
And this whole story could have been different and, in
Yep.
down spiral. And so that is such, just so strong
Yep.
right there, having that support system.
Yep.
Wow.
There's about 3 times that my dad stepped in and changed the trajectory
Mm-hmm.
of what was going to happen.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And I mean, I am forever indebted. I mean, so
Yeah.
I'll kind of motor through this a little bit, right?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
I get kind of long-winded, I know.
No, that's fine. That's fine. Yeah.
So we get through, mom and dad go home, right? Finally, I get out, man. I'm on crutches. I got this leg shorter than the other. I'm in a shoe. I'm in a shoe that's like this. I had to get a shoe made that was like that. So you can tell.
Like a lift, like a shoe lift.
Yeah, like the lift thing, right? So
Mm-hmm.
I get a shoe made like that. Well, actually, yeah, that was down the road. I was actually on crutches with no shoe for about 1.5 years because that's how long it took them in line to get me to make a shoe. Finally, I got so frustrated. I'm crutching around on one leg for 1.5 years, and I went to the cobbler down the road, and I'm like, dude, can you do a shoe for me? And he's like, I can. He's like, my son has a leg shorter than the other. I do shoes like this all the time. I know how to do them, and I can do it for you. This is how. I believe in God. I'm a Christian. I'm not the best example, but I'm a Christian. I believe that. If you believe it, but you better believe in something. Believe in the universe or whatever, or karma or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
How did I find this guy that was going to do?
That's,
I mean, this is one of the 100 things that have happened, right? That I'm still here.
Mm-hmm.
So anyhow, my parents go home. I'm back at work. I just want to get back to my popcorn factory. By the way, I never quit working. I would put my laptop up on my tray. Right, on my food tray. When I wasn't eating or whatever, I'd do my emails, I'd do my phone calls. My staff would come in. We would have phone calls. We'd have calls. I would have suppliers would come in. Dude, I could not wipe my rear end myself. I was laid up in the bed for 2 months straight, not allowed out of the bed. Had to roll me over, wipe my tail, put me back flat, okay? And I'm still running my business because if I didn't, it would go bankrupt.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
You gonna win or not?
Exactly.
You know what? It was a good thing for me because it gave me a reason to keep going. It gave me something to do because my team's like, Trent, man, you give us these targets. This is broke. There's an issue. We don't know what to do. How do I fix this? What do I do? And it's like, well, and I click into boss mode,
Yeah.
And you forget about what's going on. Dude, they didn't even have TV in the public hospital because they ran out of budget. Okay? You're staring at the damn wall, right? I mean, yeah, thank God you've got Wi-Fi on your computer. That's it.
Yeah.
That's it, man. That's it. So, at least I had that and it was a good thing, right? My team, they learned how to grow up. Right?
Yeah.
I've had a few men that grew in to be real men,
for sure.
That learned that,
getting in there. Yeah.
Yeah, man. So
it's like this business was almost like a savior in itself of your mental health at the point,
At times it very much was. And, it helped get me out of bed, so let me tell you this. I mean, this is just, it gets a bit worse. So I have my next scan and I have lung and pancreas cancer on this scan. This is in like February of 20. Okay. And my folks had gone home. A month later, COVID hits and we get locked down. Okay. We are locked down like caged animals, right? We can't leave. You can't go anywhere. Can't do anything. Folks can't come. They're not citizens. They're not allowed in the country. You can't leave. There is nothing. So pancreas cancer, less than a 5% chance. It's quite serious. But your tumor's on the bottom of your pancreas, so we're going to cut it off. Okay. All right. Sounds good. So go in, have the surgery. Surgery's good and everything. Well, on the debrief, I'm like, well, how'd we do? Oh, well, congratulations, you don't have cancer. Whoa, what? Yeah, you don't have cancer at all. And I'm like, well, then why did you cut me open and cut half of my guts out?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, it was a mistake. We didn't realize that it was actually a blood clot on your pancreas and not a tumor. Oh, okay. Right. So what do we do about that? If you want to fill out a complaint, you can. But the rubbish bin's right there. You can drop it in there on the way out because we don't look at that shit. Okay.
My God. What?
Public health care. Public health care.
My gosh.
I'm like, okay, well, you know what? So you take the rough with the smooth, the good with the bad. I'm thinking, well, I guess this is my way of beating pancreas cancer. So,
Yeah.
okay, let's move on. I got other battles to fight. I'm not fighting. Yeah, I'm not fighting these people. I mean, this guy, he's just a tool. Okay.
Yeah.
He's a tool of the fight against good and evil. I'm not going to blame him. But, if I saw him in the street.
Yeah. The other story.
My cane, he might learn, a little bit of my cane, how to use my cane, anyway. Whatever, man. I'm just.
From your initial diagnosis, from getting that call to having the pancreas cancer call and surgery, like what was the time frame between those two?
So I got out of the hospital in like mid-January, and I had the hip started abscessing, right? It started abscessing with these huge pus pocket things coming up on the incision line. So I was like, oh my God, I got to go. I called the hospital and they're like, oh, you need to come in. So when I came in, that's when they told me that, oh, hey, we're going to put a drain in your leg. But by the way, you got pancreas and lung cancer on the way out the door.
Oh my gosh.
So I was angry.
Yeah, absolutely.
That made me angry.
Yeah.
And so then, we have the pancreas surgery. Okay. Then we have the lung surgery, and that was cancer, and that was successful. But, I still had this infection in my leg. Can you imagine that? Let me give you just some sort of an idea. A splinter in your finger hurts, right? An infected splinter in your finger hurts 10 times worse, right? Well, why don't you think about a cantaloupe size hole in your leg full of fluid that's infected? Every time you move, every time you walk, every time you roll over in the bed, you wake up. Every time you try to sit down, stand up, move, turn this is the core of your body. I mean, you look this way, it hurts. You're in pain, constant pain. But I had given these guys all these chances, and I'm like, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm done. They've had enough chances with this leg. One day I'm going to go back to the States, and hopefully they can just fix what these guys hit up. Right? Yeah. Okay. So lung surgery. Yeah. Well, the orthopedic found out I was in the hospital. Hey, man, we're so locked down, you can't even have visitors in the hospital. No one can visit you, see you, nothing. I'm hopped up on drugs from the lung thing, right? Orthopedic comes in. We're gonna go in, and there's a little wire that we put in. I got some photos and stuff that I usually do.
Well, you do great.
Yeah. Check this out. So this is my X-ray. This is the whole hip area that they removed. So you can see that's somebody's normal pelvis there, right? Should have been something there. Got totally removed. Now, a cool deal that they did is they put a little wire there. That kept the leg from moving up. Bit archaic, whatever. Hey, man, it worked, right?
Yeah.
Because the leg would continue to tick up because it's jello in there, right?
Yep.
Well, the doctor wanted to go in and take the wire out because the hardware is causing the infection. Junior surgeon did the surgery, took out the wire, ended up like this. My leg bone migrated over several months to up here, 4 inches.
4 inches above?
4 inches above. The shoe I had to wear compared to a normal shoe.
Wow.
So I got this leg that works like a pendulum, right? I can't even move it. I can just swing it when I walk. That's how, and I can barely put any weight on it. I mean, I'm on crutches, So they screw me up. They botch up the surgery. They cause what they call a surgical hernia. This is my hip. This is the hip. So they cut me from around here all the way down and all the way around the back. Okay. They come in, they're dressing the thing up. The nurse comes in. She's like, oh my God, I think you have a hernia. Call the doctor in. He looks at it. This junior surgeon, he's like trying to hide it. He's like, oh my God. Yeah, it's a hernia for sure. They're like, we don't know if you're ever going to heal up from this. And I mean, so basically what we're saying is I'm never going to heal up. And I'm going to die from this.
Yeah,
that's what they're saying.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay. So I'm laying here in the bed, right? I'm gashed open. By the way, my lung got infected too. So I got a infected lung area. I got an infected hip area. I'm halfway across the world. I'm hopped up on drugs. Okay. And here's the thing. This was awesome. So they took me off the pump drip, right? They took me off the drip. They didn't put me on anything else, right? So after a day, all this wears off. You can't imagine. Dude, they went through the back end of my ribs back here.
Mm.
I mean, you want to talk about, I'm like in the bed, and if I move like this, I'm knife stabbing, twist you, screaming at the top of my lungs pain. It took
Gosh.
them 3 days to come in, the pain team to come in and see me. I am crying in pain and agony. In the public system, there's 4 people in a room. Usually they put 4 men in a room, okay? It's like when you see back in the freaking movies when they had hospitals, right?
Yeah.
Okay?
Mm-hmm.
That's how they do it in the public thing. The guys are like, Trent, just hang on, man. You're going to be all right. I am screaming. I know the end of the ward can hear me, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Where are these people? Where are they? They finally show up and they put me on methadone. Okay, methadone, we know in the States what methadone's for, right? It helps people get off opiates, but it is super strong, really good pain reliever, and you know, it worked. It worked. I was on it with the leg the first time, had no issues. Okay, I was in the hospital a couple of months this time. Okay, I was supposed to be in the hospital 2 weeks, ended up being a couple of months. The lung cleared up with the infection. I'm still dealing with this leg. They give me an IV. They do everything they can. Dude, they're not curing this infection, man. This thing's rampant, chronic. You know, I'm not healed up. I've got this huge gaping wound. They don't have bandages big enough, right? We put gauze over this thing. We tape it up. It's like, dude, the thing of it is like, I mean, it's unbelievable. It's like the size of 2 sheets of paper is how big this wound is. Weeping, weeping every day. I'm having to change it myself 2 or 3 times a day. Well, I'm in the hospital and all good. And the heart surgeon, good surgeon, but no bedside manner. And he said, look, you've been here long enough. We've got limited beds and you need to go tomorrow. And I'm like, I have an IV in my arm.
Yeah.
I'm on crutches. I got a gaping wound in my lung. I got a gaping wound in my leg. And you want to send me home? Well, you have roommates, don't you? Yeah, but we had a falling out over COVID and we don't speak. Okay?
Yeah.
Over the whole thing. I was able to go to work. They weren't. I was mandated by the government to go to work because I made food for the government, for the supermarket, because it's the only place you could get food for 2 or 3 months while we're all locked down. And so if I didn't make some food, like the other, you know, food
organizations,
people in the country, then, you know, then how you going to eat, man? The whole country couldn't eat. So we had a falling out over that.
Wow.
And so I had no help at home. So I get home and I thought, oh, you know, I don't need any methadone. I'm all good. They didn't give me anything to go home with except some paracetamol. 2 or 3 days later, I mean, I don't know what else to do with myself, right? I can't sit around the house. I'm back at work. I just go back to work, right? You know, I go to work. I lay on the couch. I do my thing. Dude, I'm hot, going through hot and cold sweats. I'm angry. I'm having suicidal thoughts. My whole mental health flips out.
That's what I was going to ask about mental health, right?
My whole mental health flips out. I'm like, what is going on? I'm thinking about hanging myself. I can vision hanging myself off the freaking balcony. Okay. Yeah. And I'm thinking, what is going on? I'm sitting in my underwear in my office, sweating over my laptop going, what is going on? I'm having withdrawal from methadone. It clicked. It clicked.
Hitch it. Yep.
I call the hospital. I call the doctor. I call the hospital. They're like, we can't admit you back in because we don't have any beds for you. And plus we've released you. We have no reason to readmit you. Okay. Well, how am I going to get methadone? Well, the GP can't write those prescriptions because they're, you know, I'm like, so how are we going to do this? So it goes through this whole process. I finally get a script and they're like, okay, well, you can call around and find some. They don't have it anywhere. You can't find it. I find this pharmacy that has it. Okay. They have pills and they have liquid. I finally get in there, man. I'm sweating. I'm shaking. I'm like, dude, I'm like crackhead. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm seriously.
Yeah. That's what it does.
I'm in like crackhead mode. Okay. And, you know, the pharmacist comes out and she's like, well, you know, we have the liquid, but we're not supposed to give you that by the pharmaceutical laws, but we have the pill, but we don't have the pills. And I'm like, you better give me something or I'm fixing to go crazy. I mean, dude, I'm shaking, I'm sweating. People are looking at me in the pharmacy going, oh my God, this guy's a drug addict. They treat me like a drug addict. That's how they're all treating me. Okay. So I get this methadone. I go through this process. Okay. They give you enough to last about 3 days. Okay. It's super, super controlled. So they don't want you. I mean, dude, it was like, you couldn't believe it. I needed like a drop they gave me a dropper. I get a drop on my tongue.
Okay. And
I can settle down. Right. And I'm okay for 12 hours or something. And then it all starts again. I have to use the dropper. Well, they give you enough to do that for 2 or 3 days. Then I go through this process all over again.
Oh my gosh.
I did that for 2 or 3 weeks and I got angry. When I get angry, then I make my mind up.
Mm.
And I said, you know what? This is too much. This is too much. I just quit. I started humping it. I just humped it, man. So I know what it takes to overcome methadone addiction without any help, without any counseling, without anything to help you do anything. So let me tell you something. If you've ever been on drugs or you've ever been addicted to alcohol or anything and you've gotten through it,
yeah,
good on you, man, because it ain't easy. I know what it's like. I didn't cause it. I didn't cause the issue, but I lived the issue, like most of these things that have happened, and most of these things that happened to me.
Yeah. Oh
so,
my gosh,
man, good for you.
You need to put that in your bio as well, because that is a feat. Seriously, it's such a hard thing to overcome.
I know, man.
It is, man.
I was suicidal, and you know what? The only thing that kept me from killing myself, and I'm getting down to the real deal here, man, is one of my friends that owned the restaurant down on the waterfront that we went to almost every day and had a beer and hung around, and we all had our birthday parties there, and it was the weekend thing right on the sidewalk, right in front of the beach. You go sit down there in a beer, you watch all the people walk by, and that's the thing that we did. I'm calling Mexican bingo at his restaurant the day before he went bankrupt, didn't tell anybody, went out in the woods the next day when I was in their restaurant and hung himself.
Gosh.
You don't know. That happened about 6 months again before I got cancer. And I'm thinking to myself, I cannot do that to my family.
Yeah.
When someone takes their life and it doesn't happen naturally, it's sad. It's always sad. It's so much more guilt and emotions and things that you wear when someone takes their life early. And I couldn't do that. I couldn't do it, right? I just could not do that. And so that's kind of what saved me, man. I mean, I would sit around going like, I'm fixing to get out the extension cord. And I get in the car and go drive around.
Just get out of it.
And let me tell you, every step I took, every step I moved, you know, like I was so strategic. My leg hurt so bad that I would get in the car. Okay. I would drive somewhere. I'd do the drive-through. I would go, I'd eat in the car. Then I'd go and find a place like a gas station. I would just roll down my window, throw out my rubbish, and I would come back home. So I only had to get in the car and out of the car one time because it was so painful, man.
Yeah.
Okay. So we get through all this. Right? Still working, still running the company, still doing everything. Next scan. Okay. This is in the late 2020.
Okay, so you've been home for
No. I'm still in New Zealand.
Okay.
I'm still in New Zealand.
Okay.
I get my next scan. No, you really have pancreas cancer this time. You
can't. Same process, same medical doctors, same kind of.
You have the best surgeon in the country. We're not changing your doctor. You've got the best treatment. The best. Yeah. This guy with this misdiagnosis and this guy's like this Captain. You know, he's Captain Cuddy, man. He just likes to cut people open. And dude, they used me as a practice. They thought I was going to die anyways. They wanted to do some practice surgery on me. They had someone come in. An American girl that was there doing a residency. She's the one that did most of the surgery because she's the one that told me about everything. And this is my, evaluation of the thing. He's going to die anyways. We're just going to do this on him. It won't matter, whatever. So I really do have pancreas cancer. I fight with the doctor over several months. I want a biopsy this time. You wouldn't do one last time. It's got to be cancer or not because I cannot live life as a diabetic by fully removing my pancreas, right?
Yeah.
Grandmother was a diabetic. Watched that my entire life. Wasn't going out that way. I'll go out with cancer. I'm not going out that way. Okay?
Yeah.
And so I just made my mind up. And so finally, about 3 or 4 months later, I get a biopsy. Man, probably the lowest low of the low, man. It was right around my birthday, like about a day or two before or after. I can't quite remember. And for sure, it was cancer. I thought, man, I'm done for. This is going to kill me. I'm definitely going to die. So a couple more months, right? You're going to have this appointment. You talk to the doctor. Can we do radiation? Oh, well, maybe we'll think about it. You got to get the biopsy. Go in, right? Oh, well, we're still talking about everything. We finally got the results. Yeah, it's cancer. Okay. While we're mucking around, while we're goofing around, let me show you. The tumor was this big when we found it on the scan. Okay.
Couple nickels.
That big tennis ball in about 5 months. It was growing into my stomach.
My gosh.
Started growing into my stomach. I look in the mirror. I can't eat. I'm pale. I'm getting skinny. And I'm like, you know what, Trent? You always had, you had a chance to die every time so far. You're going to die this time. This is going to kill you. All my doctors counted me out. I go to all my doctors, and you know what? It's getting close. I'm like, I'm within months of dying. I know I am.
Is your parents still kind of around to give you?
Still moral support,
Okay,
still
good,
everything.
good.
Still on the phone with them all the time, right?
Okay, good.
And I'm just thinking,
Wow.
I can't get insurance in the States. I'm not going to come home.
Yeah.
Bankrupt my family and die because I got a less than 5% chance I'm not going to live.
Yeah.
When I die,
Oh
send me home in a
gosh.
box. Send me home in a box. I don't care. I'm just going to make this business the best I can, and my legacy will live on. I don't have kids. I don't have a family. My choice. Career guy.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, the popcorn business will be my whatever. And when I die, send me home, and it'll be sad. And we had an appointment with one of the pancreas doctors, and I'm on my phone. After every appointment, me and my parents would have a debrief, and we talk about what happened, make sure we all understood everything. Did you understand? What are we gonna do? What's our plan? My folks were giving up. I heard it in their voice. They've been strong the whole time. They had been my rock. They had the hope. They never bought in. I'd have a meltdown. I'd go crazy. I'd lose my composure, whatever. Never bought in. Never once. Never anything negative. Never anything weak. Always positive. Always good. I could feel it. I could hear it in their voice. Our kid is halfway across the world. We can't visit him. He can't come here. He's going to die. And there's nothing we can do. And at that point, I heard my dad say, Trent, you're a fighter. You're not a quitter. You can do things no one else can do. Give yourself a chance. A chance is a chance, and that's all you need. Flip this thing around. It's not a 5% chance. It's 5 chances, and you only have one life. Dude, wow. 1 in 5? I can beat 1 in 5.
Right?
Yeah, I can be 1 in 5 in my sleep. Gee whiz.
Oh my gosh.
That's when it all changed. That's when it all switched. That's when that was the paradigm shift. And at that point, I was just kind of humping it, man. I was just kind of going along going, oh, this will be the last time. And then I'll just move on.
Mm-hmm.
No, I had to make some changes.
Yeah.
So I changed my diet. I started exercising. I started going to the gym on my birthday with this infected leg because I said, you know what? I'm going to somehow, they told me, you'll never walk again. Mm-hmm. You'll be on crutches the rest of your life. Then you'll be in a wheelchair and then you'll die. Okay. Mm-hmm. But at least you don't have a wooden peg leg like everyone else around here. Mm-hmm. No lie. That's what they give you. Okay. In New Zealand, really? Like they do, like it was World War II and they cut your leg off and gave you a wooden leg. Okay.
Gosh.
Seriously. It's nuts.
Wow.
I started changing everything in my head. This was the number one thing. So I started listening to podcasts that were positive. Mm-hmm. I cut out negativity in my life. 1 hour news was the max. All the stuff. I had to limit negativity with friends. I wasn't at kettle corn. I was doing something positive to give myself a better chance. So when I went to bed that night, laying there, feeling, did I do a good job today? Did I win today or not? I'm tough on myself. Mm-hmm. I got a bad, what do you call it? Conscience.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm like, I think I won today. And over about 9 months, man, I switched my mindset. And with the diet and the exercise and the yoga and the health and the counseling and everything.
Yeah.
And, and the positive music, I had Christian music going on in the background.
Good, yeah.
And this is how I beat it. Okay. I find something that resonated with me. It could be a song. It could be a podcast. It could be a preaching. It could be a teaching. It could be a quote. It could be whatever. I find a way to put that thing on my phone and put it on repeat. And I listen to it day and night until it's in me. And the way I know it got in me is I would wake up in the middle of the night and I would be singing that song. For the first thing I think of is that thought, or I'm talking that thing out or whatever. It's gotten in there. It's gotten in that hard head because you've been going this way for, this long.
Yeah.
And, it's hard, man, when you've been programmed and you've been going this way to flip this thing around. And it's like, I'm just going to every day, 1 degree, 1 degree, 1 degree, 1 degree. And we're going to turn this compass 180 degrees.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so That's how I did it.
That is,
There ain't no secret deal. There ain't no easy way. There ain't no hodgy podgy, hoogy poogy, whatever anybody wants to sell you. Some snake oil crap, okay?
Yep.
It's hard work. It's dedication. And it is, you know what? I made the decision. I'm going to live. I'm going to figure this out. It's a problem. I always solve every problem in my life. My business, I've solved every problem, even when I didn't know what to do. My business partner and I solve everything. There's a solution.
Yes.
How much effort are you going to give? How much time will you give?
Yeah.
How much pain and crying and cussing and complaining are you going to give to get there?
Yeah.
And on the tough days, on the crappy days, when I wanted to give up, because I want to give up a lot, when I've got every surgeon going in going, oh, you got pancreas cancer. Oh, you're going to die from this. Oh, you've got a year left. You should go home and be with your family for your final days.
Yes.
You know, make a list of what you're going to do before you die. You know, I mean, all this stuff, right? Just punching me right and left, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
You think, you know why I'm doing this? Because I can't be laying in that casket looking up at my folks with how it was going to be, comparing them to how my friends' parents were when they passed on.
Yeah.
I can't do it. I can't do it. I can't do it. I can't do it. I got to figure this out. I'm going to die trying till my last breath, and they're going to put on my tombstone, he fought to his last breath, and he never gave up, and I went out on top. If that's how I'm going. I'm going out, and I ain't quitting, because, man, I ain't no quitter, and that's all right. You know, hey, man, and here's the deal. Some days I did quit. Some days I did give up.
Absolutely.
I took a timeout, right? I had too much. I'm overloaded. I got some crappy news. I need some time to just absorb this, understand this. But you know what? Tomorrow morning, when I get up, I'm gone.
Back at it. Back at it.
If you don't, you're going to lay there. You're going to pull the covers over you. You're not going to get out of bed, and it's just going to get heavier and heavier, and the heavier it gets, the heavier those covers get. You cannot. You'll never get out.
Yeah.
You'll never get out.
It's true.
You know? And, you know, thank God I had my team that would call me and go, Trent, we're having these issues at work. We don't know what to do. You got to come to work. You have to come. I'm like, I ain't coming to work. I'm not coming to work. I don't want to come to work. I'm dying. We need you. We need you. We have all these orders to make. You gave us all these requirements and all these targets, and we can't do them if you don't help us. Okay.
All right. I'll get there. All right. Yeah. See, what I'm hearing from you is consistency, but I love that you put in there, like, you know, this was a 9 months of you changing your mentality. It's not a week. It's not a month. You know, it was 9 months of consistency. You said 1 degree a day. And I love that, because I think a lot of times people think, you know, having adversities or hardships in their life, that 9 months was consistent. Yeah, with some ups and downs in it, but was consistent. And sometimes it's a year. Sometimes it's going to be 2 years for people. Like, for what you've had to endure from that initial diagnosis to hearing your father say that, saying 5%, okay, 1 out of 5, Trent, you got this. Like, it's so powerful. That is so powerful. And that's what it's about. Consistency, 1% a day. And that's awesome. That is,
you know, one of the things about that is, right? He might have thought it. He might have always thought it, but I didn't know it until he said it.
Yeah.
And the universe doesn't hear your thoughts.
Yeah.
Okay. They hear what you say.
Yes.
That's how things get out. Because if you're thinking, hey man, would you grab that? Would you grab that and bring it over here? Or would you go grab that for me? They can't hear you. They can't read your mind.
Yeah.
So if you don't open your mouth and say something for the world to hear it, it doesn't get out. So your bad thoughts don't get out unless you speak them out.
Yes.
So they can be in there. But don't give them the airtime. Can't do it. You can't do it. And if I gave it any airtime, I would have to go back over it and speak over it and cover it. So if my doctor said, you know, 5% chance you're going to die, I'm like, you know what? Thanks, doc. I appreciate that. I know you're going to look at me crazy, but you know what? 5%, I'm part of that 5%. And next year, when I'm at a year, I'm still going to be living, and you'll see me here next year after a year. And they're just like, okay. And I'm like, you know what? I know I'm crazy, but you got to be a little crazy.
Yeah, exactly. You know, resilience. having that strength, having that, man,
So let me tell you, man, because
that is,
how much time do we have? Because I don't want to take too
no,
long.
yeah, I was gonna go like hour, 10 minutes, that's fine.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah,
okay.
yeah, we're
Well,
fine.
let
Yeah.
me kind of get through this because, man, I found my dad and my dad's like, the insurance stuff has changed. You haven't been home in 15 years. Stuff has changed here,
Okay.
because I didn't keep up with stuff here. I didn't.
Yeah.
I
So
lived
so
in
you
New Zealand,
so you end up
right?
coming back
I
to
end
the
up coming
States.
back, right?
Yeah.
We found a way. The Affordable Care Act allows people with pre-existing conditions to still get insurance. It's expensive,
Okay.
but I wasn't going to come home with this endless
Mm-hmm.
number, right? Of millions and millions of dollars, right? So it's expensive, but I got insurance and I'm coming home.
Mm-hmm.
Went to the oncologist up the road. By the time they were like, you know what? You got to find somebody that wants to be on your team, man. The guys in New Zealand threw in the towel. They don't want to be on the team anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And it's fine. It's okay. You got to find somebody to be on the team. You're the quarterback of your life. And I found who wanted to be on my team. So I go to the clinic up the road. I could have gone anywhere in the country, right? And I'm like, it was so hard on my family, like being in New Zealand every day. Can we just be at home and
Mm-hmm.
eat meals at home and
Yeah.
sleep in our own bed instead of dragging them to MD Anderson or Mayo Clinic or Cleveland Clinic or New York or where?
Mm-hmm.
So I started up the road. Old guy, man, been a radiologist here forever. Well, Trent, let me give it to you straight. That tumor you got is about the size of a softball now. I'm like, my God. He's like, but I'll tell you what, you give me a chance, I can zap that thing. And I think I can get it if you give me a chance at it. And I said, all right. So here's where it all turned. We zapped it, had to wait 3 months, got it. Killed that tumor, got the cancer. Okay. Yep. Beat the cancer. Then a few months later, I had a few of these kind of senior guys in the medical system here in Arkansas. And they were just like, man, you're in a bad way. It's like, you got this cancer. You want to walk again. We got to get this cancer cured first and this leg infection. You're
Mm-hmm.
just you're getting the cart before the horse. I said, just line up a plan and I'll kill them all. I'll do it all, baby.
Yeah.
I'll nail it all.
I've
You
been
just,
through it. Let's
yeah,
go.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
whatever, right?
Yeah.
Let's rock. I got some people that want to be on my team. I can't do this alone. I need some help. So nailed the tumor. Then I go to this little bitty infectious disease guy, man. He's like, he works out. He's a tough guy. He's like, Trent, man, this infection, man. He's like, we're gonna get this thing. We're gonna fight for you. If there's any orthopedics that go in when you need the help, I'll call them. I'll talk to them. We're gonna get this thing. I promise you, man. And I'm
Yeah.
like, let's go, baby.
Yeah.
So I had to do these IV drugs in my arm every day for 3 months. Okay, 2 hours a day, every single day at the same time. Made me sick as a dog, like I had radiation or chemo or something. I'm throwing up. I'm sick. I'm miserable. I have headaches and all these side effects. But we got that infection. And see, no one would touch me. No orthopedics would touch me because I had this infection, right? Or I'd had this infection. They don't want to open you back up.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
chances are like 80% that you're going to get reinfected, and they don't want that on their
Yeah.
resume.
Yeah. Makes
So
sense.
I get it. Well, okay, so we do that. Now I'm looking all over the country. I'm searching all over the world. I'm having appointments everywhere, left and right. We can't do anything because you're in a shoe like this, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they've cut out this is my actual pelvis, right? So there should be
Mm-hmm.
a whole piece right here. Well, there's nothing there, Trent. We don't have anything to drill anything to. We can't do anything. I went to some big hospitals, man.
Yeah.
They just basically, in a polite way, just said, we just can't do anything. Just don't come back. And I'm just like, I have to get off these crutches. I want to carry my own dinner to the table.
Yeah.
Can you imagine? Dude, I am like a man's man, right? I run in this company. I am, like alpha dog, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I get knocked down to like, can you please bring me a glass of water?
Yeah.
Hey, can you roll me over and wipe my butt?
Yeah.
I mean, dude, can you imagine what this does? I'm
Just,
handicapped.
yeah.
Dude, I mean, and you get back to the States and they're like, oh, well, if you'd have had surgery here, then none of this would happen and you wouldn't be handicapped. Then you hate yourself, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Then I
Like,
made a bad decision, right? Then you beat yourself up. Well, I found this guy. This is unbelievable. He was a University of Arkansas med school graduate under my advisor here in Arkansas medical system. I had already been to Mayo. They had given me some some piddly solution that just was nothing, that wasn't going to work.
Was that here in Minnesota?
It was in Rochester. I probably walked by this orthopedic guy in the freaking hospital, and I just thought, and I'd been to this other one, right?
Yeah.
I left. I was just like, well, can't do nothing. Okay, that's fine. Can't do anything at Mayo. And so I talked to my advisor, and he says, I got a guy for you at Mayo. I've been to Mayo, man. They can't do anything for me. Have you talked to Dr.? Yeah. Oh, yeah, I have actually. No, I haven't. No, I haven't talked to him, but I talked to this one. Well, you got to talk to this guy. I'm making a personal referral. I'm calling him. You're a candidate. You're part of the 5% of the 5% of the 1% that can actually use this leg, that actually can walk. I think you can do it. I think it can do something for you. I'm not promising anything. It took me 9 months to get into this guy. Okay. The whole time I cure this infection, dude, I'm in the gym. I'm working out. I'm going to the gym. I'm getting strong, because I am not going to go into some appointment and this guy go, well, we can't do anything because you got this little old chicken leg that's shriveled up, that's atrophied, that looks like a freaking chopstick. And, I wasn't going to do myself out, right?
Yeah, good.
I wasn't going to give him an excuse, because I got it right here now, right? He's like, oh my God, like all the exercise, all the tests, everything. He's like, okay, so we're going to rate you 1 to 5. My God, you're a 5 on that. Like, how can you even raise your leg like that? I'm like, dude, I've been in the gym.
Yeah.
We're doing this. We're doing this. You do this surgery, you figure out a way to do this, I'll make you famous. Okay. I promise you.
Yeah.
So this guy did a one of a kind, never done before, custom hip implant with procedures never done, things never attempted, 24 hours of surgery over 2 days, and put in the largest, most complex custom hip implant that's ever been done. This is my $1 million little piece. Okay. You can see that's where the joint goes in. And I never ever get this right, but it's in here. It's in here something,
Yeah.
like this. Okay. If you can see that.
Okay.
It fits in there. It's kind of.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this is what a regular hip looks like. Regular old hip implant. Your grandpa goes in, gets a hip implant. He's out the afternoon. That's what that looks like. This is what the mother of all hip implants looks like.
Oh, wow. Okay.
That's screws that go all the way through me, across me. Okay. I got stuff in my spine, in my back. I got rods going outside of my tailbone, drilled back into me. That's the hip implant. That's the stem down my leg. And let me tell you something. I've been off crutches for about 3 months. I'm on a cane. I got 2.5 inches back. This is a size shoe I'm wearing, and they never told me I'd walk again.
Oh my gosh, Trent. Oh my goodness. Wow. Resilience, consistency, fight, dedication. Man, that's amazing.
Here's one of the things. I have a couple of analogies, and I always like to give these to people because I think it's simple takeaways.
Yeah.
I started playing the game of life, right? We're all playing the game of life. I was playing with the biggest chips that you play with, life and death. Okay? Well, it was too much to handle, man. It was a heavy deal, like trying to make these decisions. Man, if I make the wrong decision, they're going to cut my leg off. If I make the wrong decision, I'm going to die. And you know what? I thought I'd waited too long. I thought I delayed my coming back to the States, right? And all this stuff. God's grace, God's mercy, God's, control the uncontrollables, but you are the quarterback of your life. And I approached this. I put myself in a football game. I'm the quarterback. I call the plays. The people on my team are my coaches, right? The coaches, my doctors are the coaches, right? My friends and family are my teammates. I'm the one holding the football, though. Okay. The play I'm calling is the one right now, not the one where if I just got sacked, I got knocked back a few yards. We all do. We don't all, right? But you get a few tries to get a first down. And you get a first down, then you get a few more tries. And you get down the field, and I had 3 touchdowns. I had 3 touchdowns to make, right? Beat the cancer, beat the infection, and walk again, right? And so that's how I approached it. You get tired, man, you need a timeout. You don't like your coach, change them out. Somebody on your team, get a new lineman. They ain't working out for you, You throw a pass, somebody intercepts it. You better get the ball back, man. You better get the ball back. You better figure out a way, right?
Yeah.
And so, man, if you need a timeout, call a timeout. Take a rest. Go over to the sideline. Talk to the coaches. Make a plan and get back in there and do another play and get some yards.
Yeah. Wow. I love that. I was going to ask about your, advice for other people
Yep.
going through ups and downs
Yep.
and cancer and any diagnosis that's just such a traumatic event in their life. And I love that you said that,
Yep.
like putting that analogy on it. That's perfect.
It just works, man. And hey, man, it doesn't have to be football. It could be your game. Whatever
Yeah,
your game
exactly.
is. It could be a board game. It could be any game. I don't care.
Exactly.
But see, then I'm not with this heavy life and death.
Yeah.
I just made a mistake. I didn't win that play. I didn't win today.
Mm-hmm.
But if I put enough plays in a row and I get down the field, I'm going to have enough days in a row.
Mm-hmm.
And if you win more days than you lose, you stay alive.
Mm-hmm. Love it.
We all got cancer, man. You get cancer cells in your body every single day. We all have cancer cells. You have a trillion cells in your body, right?
Mm-hmm.
Every cell that's made is not perfect. They all have abnormal cells. It just becomes cancer, okay, when they can find it on a scan.
Yeah.
So everybody's walking around with cancer all day.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sometimes it just gets a little bigger and it gets out of control in an area and it gets diagnosed. You can get it back in control.
Mm-hmm.
It's possible.
Yeah.
You gotta take some responsibility and think, some bad things happen, some uncontrollable things happen, and okay, whatever. You gotta give that to your high power. You gotta give that to the universe, right? But you gotta do what you can do. You gotta do the things you can do and say, you know what? I did everything within my power. You can't sit here wishing for a miracle, sitting here in this chair going, I need a miracle, and never get out of the house.
And not doing anything about it. Yeah,
exactly. You got to put yourself in the right position to receive, man.
Exactly.
To get that stuff. If you don't get out there, I'm a go-getter, man. I'm going to go for it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And, that's kind of how I am. I kind of even force things to happen, which, doesn't work either, right?
Yeah.
It's not the best. It's not the best. But, I'm still learning. The other thing that I like to say is, people love to do this, people that are kind of assholes,
Mm-hmm.
okay? They love to go like, man, God, I had cancer 3 times. Aren't you worried it's going to come back? My aunt, she had cancer and then it came back and it killed her. Yeah. Let me tell you about that one. It don't work with me, okay? And here's the reason it doesn't, okay? I look at my life like a deck of cards, okay? Like a deck of playing cards. And you know what? Golly, man, I got a few black spades in my deck, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I played those. I had a rough hand. It almost literally killed me. But I played those cards. They can't be played again, right? So they can't come back. And now I pulled some new cards and I'm playing with a better hand than I had a while back. Nice. And so I'm optimistic and I'm positive that I've already pulled the bad cards out. And so the next card I pull is going to be good because I've already done it.
You already got exactly. I love that. Yeah, there you go. Wow, that's such a good way to look at it. That's such
Hey man, and the thing is, I like I said, 85, 90% of the time I have this attitude.
Mm-hmm.
But dude, sometimes I don't. Sometimes my attitude stinks and I get upset and I get angry and I still have to fight things. And you can't. It's a constant maintenance, okay? Mm-hmm. You have to keep going. If you get cocky and you get cool and you think, oh, I've done my counseling, I don't need to go to the counselor anymore.
Come right back.
When it comes for you, you're going to be behind the 8 ball. You're going to be in that hole and it's going to be harder to get out. So if you don't need to go to counseling once a week, pull it back to once a month. Okay. Or whatever it may be. Right. But if you don't need to do 5 days of yoga a week, go once. You got to keep it going. Yeah. Because you keep building and putting into the good bank, right? Putting into the good karma bank. Keep going. If you do that, you're going to get behind again, man, and you may not catch up.
Yeah, that's true. Very true.
Wow. And you know what? Let me tell you one other thing. Okay. And this is something that I had to work through just recently. So I came up in let's see, I just had my 3-year scan. I have a scan every 6 months, right? make sure I don't have cancer. Right? So I had my scan recently, and I had back when I had the hip thing that I had put in, that got infected last year over the 4 surgeries. That actually got infected, and they had to go in, and it got severely chronically infected. It was horrible. They had to go in, rip everything out, and put it all back in. I had to start all back over and do everything again. Okay, it messed me up mentally. I was on some antibiotic things that were trying to kill the infection. It gave me hot and cold sweats. It gave me nausea, vomiting, all these things, and the mental thing came back. Like the suicide, the anxiety, the negativity, the no patience, the meltdowns. I mean, it was horrible, man.
Yeah.
It was all from the medication, but it messed up all my blood work. Well, okay, now let me take you back here real quick. 2 years before I got cancer, they diagnosed me with this liver genetic disease called hemochromatosis. Okay. In short, what it is it means that your liver does not filter out iron in your blood. Okay. So you get excessive iron in your blood, and over the years, it deposits into your organs and then eventually it'll, ruin the organs and it cause cancer. But it usually happens when you get older. Okay.
Yeah.
Not anything like that. Not anything related to my stuff. Not really, but kind of. And so they said they did this genetic test and you have this thing. And so I had to go into the hospital every 2 weeks for like a year and a half, 2 years, and have a pint of blood pulled out of me. Okay. Thin your blood out. When your body makes new blood, it doesn't have as much iron. So this is how they got my iron count down. Bit kind of, archaic, old school, but it worked, right? Minimum risk. Okay, whatever, but it was a pain, dude. It was a 4-hour deal every time I went into the hospital, right? You go in, during the middle of that, right? My brother's best friend passed away. And I can sit here and I can see I'm talking to my doctor going, I know I did the Google thing. And, one of the symptoms of cancer is high. Are you sure that I don't have cancer? I don't die of cancer like my brother's friend. Could you just make sure, Trent, we did genetic testing. You've got this genetic disease. And I'm like, it's very strange that I've never had this before. And, the 45 years that I've been alive and my folks don't have it and none of my family has it. My brother didn't. See, I had to go tell all my family and they would have to get tested and all this is a big old deal, right? No one had it but me. No one but me. It's very strange. My folks are like, you don't have that. You don't have that. That's silly. And so, okay, well, I accepted everything. And I'm thinking, this just isn't right. So my blood work's all out of line. I'm anemic, right? Let me fast forward to, earlier this year. I'm anemic. And finally, I'm with the oncologist. I'm like, can we get the genetic test again? This is ridiculous, right? How can I be anemic if I have high iron in my blood all the time, right? And I'm having trouble breathing, and, and I'm heavy breathing, and I'm going to pass out all the time and all this crap. I'm like, dude, how can this be? This is ridiculous.
Yeah.
I have the genetic test. Nope. You ain't got no genetic disease. Guess what? I had cancer.
That's what
I
it
had
was.
cancer for 2 years, and they misdiagnosed it that time as well. And my intuition and that little voice inside my head was going, something's not right. You should get a second opinion. But you know what I did? I overruled it. I went with what someone else that doesn't even know me speak over me, and I let them guide and direct my life, and I didn't do it. And you know what? I kind of, in a way, got what I deserved, right?
Yeah.
In a sad way. And so all of this could have been prevented. All of this would have been prevented. None of this would have happened. I am now handicapped. I lost my business. I had to sell my business, and I had to change my life. I have had to start a new life. I left all my friends in New Zealand. I left my life there. Everything changed. And you can't imagine. I didn't have a retirement. I lost everything, man.
Yeah.
I lost everything because I didn't go get a second opinion. And you know what? They're free, right?
Yeah.
They're free.
Yeah. I am always telling people second opinion, third opinion, just to make sure. And that's how it.
If your doctor isn't cool with the second opinion, he's not the one for your team.
Yeah.
They should be like, hey, you know what? I'm confident. I'm confident, in my diagnosis. Yeah, sure. Go get a second opinion.
Yeah.
2 heads are better than one, right?
Absolutely.
And if they have a problem with that, then they have probably have a problem with you. And you know what? You're going to have conflict on your team and you ain't going to win.
Yeah. I love that you say that, on here, because like that's something that I preach, and that listeners, I've heard and had feedback about second opinions on. I wish I would have. And
Hey, you know what? And if it ain't right, go get a third one.
yeah, exactly.
If it costs you $100 in an hour, I'll tell
Mhm.
you what, it's damn well worth it. Because
Yeah.
the regret that I have to try to overcome and live with, that I wouldn't be left like this.
Mhm.
Like honestly, man.
Yeah.
I mean, people look at me. When I wore this big shoe around, man, I was so embarrassed to go anywhere. People stared at me. They
Mhm.
gawked at me. It was embarrassing. I mean, you can't imagine
Yeah.
everything. And I'm just like,
Yeah.
trust your gut, man. You better
Yep.
trust your gut.
Yep.
It knows you more than anybody else. It's the one
It's
that's been
true.
inside you. That person you've seen for 5 minutes doesn't know you.
Yep. Very true. I love it. Oh, yeah. I love that. I love that. Yeah. Trent, thank you. Thank
Well, I
you.
kind of talked the whole time. I feel bad. I feel bad, Tony, but golly, man, I got rolling, man. I got rolling, brother. And hey,
That's how I want it. And it should be you talking, because this is about you. I thank you. Like, your story is so inspiring. Like,
I appreciate it, man.
the ups and downs, and the honesty too, of like, yeah, there's days.
Yeah.
There's days. And that's one of the things like I preach to everybody. Like, there are days we don't all have it all together 100% of the time. And just adversities and hardships, they come and go in life, and just staying consistent and being positive. And like you said, 1 degree a day.
Yeah, man. Yeah, just make a
it's-
step. Just make one
Yeah.
step. That's all you got to do in the right direction. If you knock back 2, who cares?
Yep.
Okay, just make another step.
Exactly.
It's all good. And hey, find some people to hold your hand and step with you.
Yes.
You know,
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you, man. And I love the title of your podcast.
Yeah.
It's kind of contradictory.
It is.
It is. But you know what? In a way, I've learned so much more about myself. I know I'm a deeper person on a deeper level, and I appreciate so many things that I took for granted.
Yeah.
And I know that God gave me a way out of that, because this is what I'm supposed to do. I'm supposed to tell my story. I'm supposed to take that extra minute that I'm supposed to and help somebody that needed it. When I thought about it, when I used to think about it and go, oh man, should I stop on the side of the road and help that person with their flat tire?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Or, should I give that guy $100? I know he's working his butt off and he's trying to do a good job and he just needs a little help, Should I do that? Yeah, you should.
Absolutely.
And that's why I do this, man. That's why I do this, because that's why I'm still here, man, is to make people's lives better.
Yeah.
That's my purpose.
That's awesome. You're special, Trent. Having that ability. A lot of people don't have that, so thank you.
A lot of work, man.
It is.
Thank you, Adversity. It's such a great title, man. And you really,
thank you.
Is very.
Yes, I wanted people to cause people to think, and think about it, and say, wait a second, and think about their lives and their hardships and their adversities. So, thank you so much, Trent.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Appreciate your time, and
I'd love to come back on, man, sometime and catch up. And
absolutely,
maybe we could do the host is the guest, and I could ask some questions to you about you and do that thing.
Sure.
That would be cool, right? Because then we could learn some of the things that you've learned about all the people that you've interviewed, and take some of your top advice.
Absolutely, I would love it. I would love it. Let's connect
do that sometime.
Yeah, absolutely,
man.
absolutely.
Yeah, cool, man.
All right, you have a nice one, man.
You too,
All
man.
right.
Thanks,
Thank
bro.
you.
Appreciate you, man.
Yeah, you too.
Okay. Bye-bye.